Hello students. So in the last class we have already discussed regarding the human heart. So today we'll start with a new chapter, that is excretory products and their elimination. So this is the fourth chapter from the human physiology. So already from human physiology we have discussed with four chapters. First one was digestion and absorption of food, and second chapter was breathing and exchange of gases, and third chapter was circulation, that is body fluids and circulation. So this is the fourth chapter, that is excretory products and their elimination. Okay, so in this chapter mainly excretory products, that is regarding the human excretory system, we will be discussing the structure of the kidney, urine formation, okay, and the structure of the nephron, mechanism in detail, and the disorders will be discussing in this chapter. Okay, so already regarding the excretory system you have already studied in your lower classes, and people are very much familiar with this diagram and all. Fine. So again we'll deal this chapter in detail. So firstly we'll see what are the contents we'll discuss in this chapter. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss from this chapter. So first is the human excretory system. Okay, briefly regarding the human excretory system and the structure we'll be discussing. Then urine formation and what are the steps which are involved in the urine formation. Then functions of tubules. Then mechanism of concentration of filtration. Then regulation of kidney function. Then mixturation. Then role of other organs in the excretion. Fine. So apart from the kidney in our body, even other organs are also associated in the elimination of nitrogenous waste. So that different organs which are having the role in the elimination of nitrogenous waste, even that also we will be discussing in this chapter. Then lastly regarding the disorders of the excretory system. Fine. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss in this chapter. So let's begin one by one. So firstly we'll start what is the definition of excretion. So you already know that excretion means the elimination of nitrogenous waste from the body. Fine. So again according to this NCERT, what is the definition? Elimination of metabolic waste products from the animal body to regulate the composition of the body fluids and the tissues is called as excretion. Fine. So to maintain or to regulate the composition of body fluids and the tissues, the elimination of metabolic waste products will take place. Fine. So again what are the waste products includes? Maybe it includes ammonia, uric acid, urea, carbon dioxide, and ions like sodium, potassium, chlorine, and phosphate and sulfates. Okay, so these are the ions which included in the excretion, that is a waste products which is eliminated. So what is the excretion definition? Elimination of metabolic waste products from the animal body to regulate the composition of body fluids and the tissues is called as excretion. What does this waste products or the excretory products will includes? It includes mainly ammonia, uric acid, urea, carbon dioxide, and ions like sodium, potassium, chlorine, phosphate, and the sulfates. Okay, then next comes the types of nitrogenous waste. So again different animals they eliminate different types of nitrogenous waste. So again based on that we have got three types. One is ammonia, uric acid, and the urea. Fine, these are the three types of nitrogenous waste. We'll see what are the examples. So again ammonia is the most toxic and uric acid is the least toxic. So ammonia is more toxic when compared to the uric acid and the urea. So due to that reason what happens here means ammonia it requires more water for the elimination. Ammonia requires more water for the elimination. So due to that reason what happens, generally the aquatic animals including fishes and all, they excrete ammonia as a nitrogenous waste. Generally aquatic animals they eliminate ammonia as a nitrogenous waste. Fine. What is the definition of ammonotalism? The process of removing of ammonia is called as ammonotalism. The process of removing of ammonia as a nitrogenous waste is called as ammonotalism, and the organisms which excrete ammonia the organisms which excrete ammonia as nitrogenous waste, those animals we call it as the ammonotelic animals. Okay, these two definitions you have to know. One is ammonotelism and another one is the ammonotelic animals. Ammonotelism means the process of removing of ammonia as a nitrogenous waste. Removing the ammonia as a nitrogenous waste, we call it as ammonotelism. And the animals or the organisms which excrete ammonia as a nitrogenous waste, those animals we call it as ammonotelic animals. So we'll see examples which are the animals which eliminate ammonia as a nitrogenous waste. One is the bony fishes and the aquatic amphibians and the some insects. Okay, bony fishes, aquatic amphibians and the insects, they eliminate ammonia as a nitrogenous waste. Next, ureotelic, the organisms that release urea as a nitrogenous waste, or the animals which excrete urea as a nitrogenous waste, they are called as ureotelic animals. And the process, it is known as ureotelism process. Ureotelism ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಯೂರಿಯೋಟೆಲಿಕ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಫೈನ್. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ mammals and the terrestrial amphibians. Mammals and terrestrial amphibians, they will eliminate urea as a nitrogenous waste. ಫೈನ್. ಯೂರಿಯೋಟೆಲಿಸಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಯೂರಿಯೋಟೆಲಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸಿಗೆ ಯೂರಿಯೋಟೆಲಿಕ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಟು ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, uric acid. So the animals which will eliminate uric acid as a nitrogenous waste, then those animals we call it as uricotelic animals. Uricotelic animals, and the process is known as ureotelism. Okay, the process of removing of uric acid we call it as a uricotelic, and the animals we call it as a uricotelic animals. Fine. So what are the examples? Reptiles, birds and the land snails. So generally they will eliminate uric acid as a nitrogenous waste. Fine. So these are the three types of nitrogenous waste, and the definition you have to know. 4 marks, they are important. Ammonotelism, ureotelism, ureotelism. Is it clear? The animals which will eliminate ammonia, which excrete ammonia as a nitrogenous waste, they are known as ammonotelic animals. Ammonotelic. Then the animals which will release urea, they are known as ureotelic, and the organisms which excrete uric acid, they are known as uricotelic. Okay, hope these three definitions are clear to you. Okay, depending upon the animals, three types of nitrogenous waste ಇರ್ತಾವ. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವು? ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ, ಯೂರಿಕ್ ಆಸಿಡ್ ಮತ್ತು ಯೂರಿಯಾ. ಇದು ಡೆಫಿನಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Is it clear? Hope this slide is clear. So here you can see that some examples and their excretory organs they have mentioned. So just we'll see one by one. So in the animals we'll see that flatworms and the annelids and the cephalochorids. So generally they have got protonephridia or the flame cell as an excretory organs. So already you have studied all these excretory organs. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ನಾಗ ಯಾವ್ದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೇಟರಿ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿವಿ, ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಗ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ in case of flatworms and annelids and cephalochorids, so generally they have got protonephridia or flame cells. Then earthworm and annelids, they have got nephridia as the excretory organs. Then insects including the cockroaches, they have got Malpighian tubules. Then mammals they have got kidney as an excretory organs. Fine. So these are the some examples, the animals and which excretory organs they have got. Okay. So next comes the important part of this chapter, that is the human excretory system. Okay, we'll see what are the parts which are associated with human excretory system. Fine. So human excretory system, it consists of following parts. It consists of pair of kidney, pair of ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. Okay, these are the 4 different parts which are associated with the kidney. So this is the structure of human kidney. Okay, you can see that in our body we have got 2 kidneys. Yes or no? We have got 2 pair of kidneys. Fine. Then ureter, this is pipe-like structure which is known as ureter, and here this is known as urinary bladder, and the opening is called as the urethra. Fine. So remaining parts will come later. So let us see what are the parts again. So four parts: pair of kidney, ureters, urinary bladder, and the urethra. So you already know that the kidney is reddish brown, bean-shaped structure. Okay, kidneys are reddish brown and bean-shaped structure which is situated between the last thoracic vertebrae, between the levels of last thoracic vertebrae, close to the dorsal inner wall of the abdominal cavity. Fine, close to the dorsal inner wall of the abdominal cavity. Then each kidney, it measures about 10 to 12 centimeter in length and 5 to 7 centimeter in width and 2 to 3 centimeter in the thickness. Fine. Then towards the center of the inner concave surface is the notches which are called as ileum. So here you can see that inner notches towards the center. This notch we call it as the ileum. This portion it is known as the ileum. Towards the center, the inner concave surface is the it has the notch which is called as ileum, through which the ureters, blood vessels, and the nerves enter into the kidney. Here, this is the region where the blood vessels, ureters, and the nerves, they will enter inside the kidney. Okay, here you can see this portion here, notch, it is known as the ileum. Okay, so what does where does the kidneys are located? So generally kidney, they are reddish brown, bean-shaped structure which is situated between the last thoracic vertebrae, close to the inner wall of the abdominal cavity. Fine. So again here, each kidney, it measures about 10 to 12 centimeter in length and 5 to 7 centimeter in width and 2 to 3 centimeter in the thickness. Then the inner concave surface, it is having the notch which is known as the ileum, through which the ureters, blood vessels, and the nerves enter into the kidney. Fine. Then these are the some of the parts of the kidney. So you know that the outer part of the kidney we call it as the cortex and the inner is the medulla. Fine. Outer protective portion, outermost layer, it is a cortex. This is the cortex. Okay, the outer protective portion, and the medulla is the inner soft portion, inner region it is. Then ileum is a depression. It is located in the middle of the concave side of the kidney, where the blood vessels, nerves, and ureters enters into the kidney. Fine. Then the cortex, where the blood is filtered, and medulla contains the collective duct which the carries the filtrate to the pelvis. And what is this pelvis? It is a hollow cavity where the urine accumulates and it drains out into the ureter. Okay, here it comes. Fine. Pelvis, where it helps for the urine accumulates. Generally here the urine accumulates and it drains out into the urethra. From here it comes out to the ureter. Okay, hope it is clear to you. So this is the structure of human excretory system. So human excretory system, we have got two kidneys. Fine. Then kidney, it has got two parts, outer cortex and the inner medulla, and above the kidney we have got a gland which is known as adrenal gland. So this red portion is known as renal arteries, and this is known as renal vein. Fine. Then outer cortex and inner medulla, and in the medulla it has got small pyramid shaped structures which is known as renal pelvis. Fine. And this tube like structure which is connected to this kidney, it is known as ureter, and from ureters the urine is collected in the bladder which is known as urinary bladder. Then from here the waste, it is the urine is eliminated out. Fine. So these are the important parts of the kidney, and hope this diagram is clear to you. Fine. So next you can see here the inner to the ileum, it is a broad funnel shaped space is present which is called as renal pelvis with projections known as calyx. The outer wall of the kidney is a tough capsule, and the inner layer, the kidney is differentiated into outer cortex and the inner medulla. Just now we have to discuss. Then the medulla, it is divided into few conical masses which is known as medullary pyramids. few conical masses which is known as medullary pyramids, and pyramids are projected into the calyx. Pyramids projected into the calyx, medullary pyramids. Here you can see these are known as medullary pyramids, and which are connected to the calyx here. Hope you can see in this diagram. What happens? Kidneys are differentiated. Okay, medulla is divided into few conical masses. The conical masses which are known as medullary pyramids. These pyramids projected into the calyx. Fine. Then the cortex extends in between the medullary pyramids as renal column, which is known as columns of Bertin. Okay, columns of Bertin, it is known as renal column. This here you can see inside. This is the renal capsule, renal column, medullary pyramid, calyx, renal artery, renal vein, renal pelvis, and ureter. Okay, fine. So next, each kidney has nearly the 1 million complex tubular structures which are called as nephrons. So far we have discussed regarding the kidney. Next we'll move on to the structure of the nephron. So what do you mean by nephrons? Nephrons are nothing but they are the structural and the functional unit of the kidney. Okay, nephrons are commonly known as structural and the functional unit of kidneys. Okay, so again here each kidney it is having nearly 1 million complex tubular structure. Each kidney it is made up of 1 million complex structures which are commonly known as nephrons. Okay, nephrons, or it is also known as uriniferous tubules. We'll say nephron, and or it is also called as uriniferous tubules. Fine. So again each nephron has two parts. Each nephron it is made up of two parts. One is glomerulus and another one is a renal tubule. Glomerulus and renal tubules. Fine. So glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries formed by the afferent renal arterioles. Where does this glomerulus will be present? What does it is made up of? Glomerulus it is made up of tuft of blood capillaries. Fine. Again it is formed by afferent renal arteriole. It is formed by afferent renal arteriole. It is a branch of renal artery. Afferent renal artery, branch of renal arteries. Fine. The blood from the glomerulus it is collected by the efferent renal arteries. Afferent renal arteries and efferent renal arterioles. Okay. The renal tubule begins with the double walled cup-like structure which is called as Bowman's capsule. Okay. First I will explain, later I will come to the diagram. The renal tubules it begins with double walled cup-like structure which is called as Bowman's capsule which encloses the glomerulus. This glomerulus along with Bowman's capsule is called as Malpighian body or the renal corpus. Here you can see that this is the structure of the nephron. This is the glomerulus. This part is the glomerulus, and this cup-shaped structure is known as the Bowman's capsule. Glomerulus and Bowman's capsule together they are known as Malpighian body. Okay, glomerulus and Bowman's capsule together they are known as Malpighian body. Within this glomerulus it is having the tuft of blood capillaries. Branches of blood capillaries will be present. Afferent arterioles means they are these arterioles they are entering inside the capillaries, means they are entering inside, that is they are entering and they will, this afferent means they are coming out. Efferent andre ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲತ್ತವ, afferent andre ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತದ. ತಿಳಿತಾ? Efferent ಎರಡು ಬೇರೆ. Efferent andre they carries the blood inside. Afferent means they carry away from the Bowman's capsule, ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ತದ. Right. Then from this Bowman's capsule, this it is continued by the another part of the nephron which is known as PCT, that is proximal convoluted tubule. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ proximal convoluted tubule ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Then this proximal convoluted tubule it continues the small hairpin like structure is there which is known as Henle's loop. ಈ Henle's loop ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Again it is of two types, that is ascending limb and the descending limb will be present. Then this Henle's loop, it gives rise to the distal convoluted tubule. From here DCT will come, that is distal convoluted tubule. From the distal convoluted tubule the urine it is collected in the collecting tubules. It has got the collecting tubule. Fine. Okay, you can see once again in the nephron. Nephrons are made up of two important parts. One is glomerulus and another one is the renal tubules. Fine. Glomerulus and renal tubule. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries which is formed by the afferent renal arteriole. It is formed by afferent renal arteriole. Then the blood from the glomerulus, it is collected by efferent renal arterioles. Afferent renal arterioles and the efferent renal arterioles. Then the renal tubules, which begins with the double-walled cup-like structure, they are known as Bowman's capsule. Fine. Then it encloses the glomerulus, and glomerulus along with this Bowman's capsule, which is known as Malpighian body or the renal corpuscles. Next, Bowman's capsule, it is followed by highly coiled proximal convoluted tubule, that is PCT. Bowman's capsule, it is followed by PCT, that is proximal convoluted tubule. Then PCT, it is followed by hairpin shaped structure which is known as Henle's loop with ascending and the descending limb. Bowman's capsule gives rise to PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, then Henle's loop with ascending hand loop of Henle's and the descending loop of Henle's. Ascending limb is followed by another coiled tubular structure which is known as DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. Then this distal convoluted tubule of many nephrons, they opens into the straight tube which is called as collecting duct. Okay, all the collecting duct coverages and opens into the renal pelvis through the medullary pyramids in the calyx. Okay, here you can see this ascending limb, again further it gives rise to DCT. Then from DCT it is connected to the collecting tubes, and these collecting tubes where they are connected to the renal pyramids of the calyx. Okay, renal medullary pyramids in the calyx. Then next, the Malpighian capsules. Okay, the Malpighian corpuscles, then proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule of the nephrons, they are located in the cortex, but the loop of Henle's, it dips into the upper medulla. Okay, now listen carefully, what are the parts which are associated with cortex and medulla I am saying. Malpighian corpuscles and proximal convoluted tubule and distal convoluted tubule of nephrons, they are located in the cortex. You ಮೂರು Malpighian corpuscles ಮತ್ತು PCT DCT ಮೂರು ಏನಿರ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಲೊಕೇಟ್ ಇರ್ತದ, ಕಾರ್ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ನೇ ಲೊಕೇಟ್ ಇರ್ತದ. ಓಕೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಲೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ Henle's ಎಲ್ಲಿರ್ತದ, ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ಮೆಡುಲಾ ರೀಜನ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಇರ್ತದ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ನೆಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ the loop of Henle is very long and it runs deep into the inner medulla. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ the loop of Henle is it will be very long and it runs into the inner medulla ಒಳಗೆ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Okay, then the nephrons are called as juxtamedullary nephrons. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತೀವಿ, juxtamedullary nephron ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Okay, come to that. So what do you mean by juxtamedullary nephrons? In some nephron, the loop of Henle's, it is very long and it runs deep into the inner medulla. These nephrons are called as juxtamedullary nephron. Okay, then the efferent renal arterioles, which is emerging from the glomerulus, it forms a fine capillary network around the renal tubule, which is called as peritubular capillaries. From where this peritubular capillaries arises from the efferent renal arterioles, which are emerging from the glomerulus, and it forms a fine capillary network around the renal tubules. Peritubular networks here is. okay, which are emerging out from the glomerulus. They'll form fine tubular like structures. Peritubular capillaries. Then apart from this, a minute vessel of this network, it runs parallel to the loop of Henle's, forming a U-shaped, which is known as vasa recta. So here you can see vasa recta, which runs along these capillaries, blood vessels. It forms a U-shaped structure. This loop of Henle's, which forms a U-shaped structure, which we commonly call it as the vasa recta. Okay. Then this vasa recta, they are absent or reduced in the cortical nephrons. They are reduced in the cortical nephrons, and the juxtamedullary nephrons has juxtaglomerular apparatus in which DCT runs close to the efferent renal artery. It comes closer to the DCT here. Okay, from glomerulus it is directly comes in contact here. Okay. So, juxtamedullary nephron, peritubular capillaries, vasa recta. These are the blood capillaries which are found surrounded to the nephron here. Okay. So, this is the structure of the nephron. And what are the parts which are associated with the nephron? Glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, efferent arterioles and efferent arterioles. These two are known as Malpighian body. Then renal vein, which forms a small hairpin-like structure, which is known as loop of Henle's, which is having the descending limb and the ascending limb, and this is known as vasa recta. This is the distal convoluted tubule, collecting tubules, and proximal convoluted tubules. Fine. So these are the parts of the nephron. Next, I will move to the most interesting part of this chapter, that is the mechanism of urine formation. Okay, so again here in the urine formation, we have got three main steps are there. We'll see one by one. Okay, urine formation, it involves three main processes. One is glomerular filtration, selective reabsorption, then tubular secretion. Fine. So these are the three main processes which are included in the mechanism of urine formation. We'll see one by one what are its functions and all. So in urine formation, it involves three main processes. One is glomerular filtration, it explains in glomerulus. Then second step is the reabsorption. Fine. Or selective materials are reabsorbed. Then tubular secretion. Fine. So first step we'll see in what happens in glomerular filtration. Glomerular filtration, or it is also known as ultrafiltration. Glomerular filtration, or it is also called as ultrafiltration. So on an average, nearly 1120 to 1200 ml of blood is filtered by the kidney per minute. Okay, so what happens in the first step? Nearly on an average of 1120 to 1200 ml of blood is filtered by the kidney per minute. Okay, then the glomerular capillary blood pressure causes filtration of through the filtration membrane. It causes filtration by the filtration membrane, and the filtration membrane is formed by endothelium of glomerular blood vessels. They have got a filtration membrane which is known as the endothelium. Okay, so we'll see what is this endothelium does. This the epithelium of the Bowman's capsule, that is podocytes. The basement membrane of these two layers, that is the epithelial cell of the Bowman's capsules, they are called as podocytes, and are arranged in an intract membrane so as to leave some minute spaces which are called as filtration slit or slit pores. Okay, what happens here? The epithelial cells of the Bowman's capsule, they are called as podocytes. Okay, they are arranged in the intract membrane so as to they leave some minute spaces which is called as filtration slit or slit pores. Slit pores will say generally. Then it mainly constitutes of plasma. passes the filtration membrane except protein, hence it is known as ultrafiltration. So what is ultrafiltration? It helps, generally all the materials are passes through the filtration membrane except the protein, so it is known as ultrafiltration. All the constituents of the plasma pass the filtration membrane except protein, hence it is called as ultrafiltration. The amount of filtrate formed by the kidneys per minute is called as glomerular filtration rate, GFR. So what do you mean by GFR? Glomerular filtration rate means the amount of filtrate formed by the kidney per minute. ಅಂದರೆ ಪರ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಕಿಡ್ನಿಲಿಂದ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಗ್ಲೊಮ್ಯಾರುಲರ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ರೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಕಿಡ್ನಿ is known as glomerular filtration rate. So how much is the glomerular filtration rate? It is about 120 ml per minute, that is 180 liters per day. 125 ml per minute, 120 ml per minute, that is nearly approximate 180 liters per day. So that's about the first step. So in the mechanism of urine formation, so far we are discussed with the first step, that is glomerular filtration. So in filtration, what happens after complete filtration? Ultrafiltration will take place, and then glomerular filtration rate. Three terms you have to know. So here first let me explain this. Second step is the selective reabsorption. So again here in the selective reabsorption, what happens? Out of 120 filtrate formed every day, 178.5 liters along with useful materials are reabsorbed into the blood. Approximate all the contents again it is reabsorbed by the blood through the peritubular capillaries, leaving 1.5 liters which is extracted in the form of urine. Okay, after the reabsorption, what are the waste will be remaining? No, that is extracted as a urine, that will be leaving 1.5 liters are extracted in the form of the urine. Okay, then this tubular epithelium cells of different segments of the nephrons perform this either active or the passive mechanism. Fine, either it may take place by active or it may take place by passive method. Then the substance like glucose, amino acids, sodium, they are absorbed actively. Okay, substance like glucose, amino acids and sodium, they are absorbed actively, and nitrogenous waste are absorbed by passive transport. What are these two steps here? So generally the tubular epithelium cells of different segments of the nephron, they perform either active absorption or the passive absorption. What are the things which are absorbed actively? One is substance like glucose, amino acids and the sodium, they are absorbed actively. Then nitrogenous waste are absorbed by the passive transport. So reabsorption of water, it also occurs passively in the initial segment of the nephrons. Okay, further again it is reabsorbed. So here you can see that the reabsorption and the secretion of major substances at the different part of the nephron. What are the substances they are absorbed? You can see in this. The arrow mark indicates the direction of the movement of the materials. The absorption, how the reabsorptions are taking place, you can see. Sodium chloride, water, ammonia, potassium, bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate and all. That is in the selective reabsorption, what happens? Out of 180 liters filtrate formed every day, nearly 178.5 liters along with useful materials are reabsorbed. Again reabsorption will take place into the blood through the peritubular capillaries, which leaving behind 1.5 liters are extracted in the form of urine. Okay, then next comes the tubular secretion. So again here what are the steps involved in the tubular secretion? So here you can see that in the tubular secretion the cells add substances like hydrogen, potassium and ammonia to the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries. They add the secretes additional substances like sodium, potassium and the ammonia to the filtrate from peritubular capillaries. Okay, then this tubular secretion maintains ionic and acidic base balance of the body fluids. So generally here this tubular secretion, it helps in maintaining the acid base balance of the body fluids, acid base balance of the body fluids. Okay, so these are the three major steps you can see here. What are the three major steps? What does the first step does? First step, it is a glomerular filtration. So what happens in glomerular filtration? That is the filtration of blood by the glomerulus. Filtration of blood by the glomerulus will takes place in the first step, that is in the glomerular filtration. Then reabsorption by the renal tubules. Fine, reabsorption by the renal tubules. Then secretion, tubular secretion. Okay, extra additional secretion will takes place like hydrogen, potassium, ammonia into the filtrate. Okay, so these are the three important steps which are involved in the urine formation. First one is glomerular filtration, second one is reabsorption, and third one is the secretion. Fine, hope these three steps are clear to you. Okay, so this is about the urine formation. So next we will move on to the another concept, that is what are the functions of the parts, nephron parts, that is proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule and the loop of Henle's. These functions we'll see now one by one. So first one is the functions of the tubules, that is proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. So PCT generally it is lined by the cuboidal brush border epithelium. Okay, PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, is lined by simple cuboidal brush border epithelium. So what does it will do? It will increase the surface area for the absorption. So now again study ಮಾಡಲತ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ functions of proximal convoluted tubules. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule ಏನಂತ ಇವಾಗ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು, it is a part of the nephron ಅಂತ, ಹೌದಾ? So ಏನಂದ proximal convoluted tubule? So generally its function is that it will help in increasing the surface area of the absorption. It helps in increasing the surface area for the absorption. What does it is made up of? It is generally lined by simple cuboidal brush border epithelium. Simple cuboidal brush border epithelium, which increases the surface area for the absorption. Then all the essential nutrients and about nearly 70 to 80% of electrolytes and the water are reabsorbed by these segments. Nearly 70 to 80% of the electrolytes and water are absorbed by these segments. Okay, then proximal convoluted tubules, it also maintains the pH and the ionic balance of the body fluid. ಅದು ಕೆಲಸ ಏನದ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್, ಅದು ಪಿ ಎಚ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅಯೋನಿಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು ಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಬೈ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಕ್ರಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್, potassium and ammonia into the filtrate and by the absorption of the bicarbonates. Okay, hope it is clear to you. What does the proximal convoluted tubule will do? Generally it will help in increasing the surface area of the absorption. ಅದು ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಅದು ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು ಏನದಂದರೆ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್, that is about 70 to 80% of the electrolytes and the waters are also reabsorbed by the segments. ಈ proximal convoluted segment ಏನಿರ್ತದಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಸೆಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, 70 to 80% of the electrolytes and waters are reabsorbed by these segments. ಮತ್ತು apart from this, it will also helps in maintaining the pH and the ionic balance of the body fluid by selective secretion. Okay, body pH ಮತ್ತು ionic balance ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೋದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. Fine, that is a function of proximal convoluted tubule. Then Henle's loop. So what is the function of Henle's loop? This region plays an important role in maintenance of high osmolarity of medullary interstitial fluid. ಅದು osmoregulation ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದ. ಮತ್ತು ದ ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬ್ ಮೀನ್ ಲೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೆನ್ಲಿಸ್ನಾಗ ಎರಡಿದಾವ, ಒಂದು ಅಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬು ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮಲ್ ಕನ್ವಲ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮಲ್ ಕನ್ವಲ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ ಎದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ? ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್, ರೈಟ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ nearly 70 to 80% of electrolytes and water are reabsorbed by this proximal convoluted tubule. Then loop of Henle's ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ loop of Henle's ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದು ಆಸ್ಮೋಲಾರಿಟಿ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಅದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಎರಡು ಇರ್ತಾವೆ, ಒಂದು ಅಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಂಬ್ ಈಸ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಯಬಲ್ ಟು ವಾಟರ್ ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪರ್ಮಿಯಬಲ್ ಟು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಲೈಟ್ಸ್. descending limb it is permeable to water and impermeable to electrolytes. ಅದು ವಾಟರಿಗೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಯಬಲ್ ಅದ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಲೈಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನಿರ್ತದೆ ಇಂಪರ್ಮಿಯಬಲ್ ಇರ್ತೈತೆ, ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಲೌ ಎನಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್. ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೂವ್ಸ್ ಡೌನ್. ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅದು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಇಯರ್ descending loop of Henle's ಮತ್ತು ascending loop of Henle's. So this descending loop of Henle's generally it is permeable to water and impermeable to electrolytes. Fine. And what does it will do? It will generally concentrate the filtrates as it moves downward. Complete the filtration ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ as it is moving downward. Okay, then ascending limb ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ? ascending limb it is permeable to electrolytes and impermeable to electrolytes both. Fine. Therefore as the concentrated filtrate passes upward it gets diluted due to the active and the passive transport of electrolytes to the medullary fluid. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ as it moves towards ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಮ್ನಾಗ ಅದು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಮ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಡೈಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಫೈನ್, ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಡೈಲ್ಯೂಟ್. ವೈ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಡೈಲ್ಯೂಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಲೈಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ಮೆಡುಲರಿ ಫ್ಲೂಯಿಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಮ್ನ ಡಿಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಲಿಮ್ನಾಗ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೂವ್ಸ್ ಡೌನ್ವರ್ಡ್. ascending limb ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ it moves upward and it dilutes due to the active and the passive transport of the electrolytes. Fine. Next DCT, that is distal convoluted tubules. So what happens in distal convoluted tubule? So here you can find that here the reabsorption of sodium and water it takes place in this segment. Distal convoluted tubule again only selected substances will be reabsorbed, like sodium and the water. Sodium and water reabsorption will take place in these segments where in distal convoluted tubules. So in distal convoluted tubules selectable reabsorption of sodium and the water will take place. Fine. Then in the DCT it is capable of reabsorption. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಕನ್ವಲ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟಬಲ್ ರಿಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಸೋಡಿಯಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಾಟರ್. ಸೋಡಿಯಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ವಾಟರು ರಿಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಫೈನ್. ದೆನ್ DCT they are capable of reabsorption of bicarbonates and selectively secretion of sodium, potassium and ammonia. ಇಲ್ಲಿ DCT ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕೇಪಬಲ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಬೈಕಾರ್ಬೊನೇಟ್ಸ್ನು ರಿಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸೆಕ್ರಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್, ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ ಸೆಕ್ರಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ದಿ pH ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಮತ್ತು ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಫೈನ್. ಸೊ ಡಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಕನ್ವಲ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸ್ದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಭಾಳ ಇದಾವೆ. ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಅದು selectable reabsorption of sodium and water will take place in this segment. Then it is also capable of reabsorption of bicarbonates and selective secretion of hydrogen, potassium and ammonia will take place, and it also helps in maintaining the pH and pH maintain ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್, ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ನು ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. Okay, so these are the functions of distal convoluted tubules. So in this diagram you can see once again where is the proximal convoluted tubule, then this is the Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle's, then distal convoluted tubule, and last comes the collecting tube, collecting duct. So what is the function of collecting duct? This ducts, it extends from the cortex to inner part of the medulla. From where does it extends? It extends from the cortex to inner part of the medulla. Then here the large amount of water could be reabsorbed. Really large amount of water ಏನಾಗ್ತದ reabsorb ಆಗ್ತದ from this region to produce the concentrated urine. Okay, concentrated urine produce ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ amount of water reabsorption ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Okay, so these segments they allow small amount of urea into the medullary interstratum to keep up the osmolarity. Okay, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಮೋನಿಯಾನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಫೈನ್. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ different parts of the nephrons. Okay, so next ಏನದ mechanism of concentration of the filtrate. So this will discuss later. So meanwhile, just once again you can go through all the slides. Okay, so firstly we have discussed definition and the three types of nitrogenous waste, and their definitions you have to know. Then the animals and what are the nitrogenous waste, they are eliminate excretory organs which are associated with these animals. Then in human excretory system, it mainly consists of pair of kidney, ureters, urinary bladder and the urethra. So this is parts, what are the different parts of the kidney which are associated: cortex, medulla and the ileum. This is structure of human excretory system. It's made of two kidneys, ureter, urinary bladder and the urethra, and the adrenal gland is present on the kidney. Outer is the cortex, inner is the medulla. Fine. These are the different parts of the kidney. So structure of nephron. So again here and the structure of nephrons. So what is nephron? Nephrons, they are the structural and the functional unit of kidney, or nephrons it is also known as uriniferous tubules. Okay, ನೆಫ್ರಾನಿಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ? ಯೂರಿನಿಫರಸ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನೆಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ನಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇದಾವೆ? ಎರಡು ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ. ಒಂದು ಗ್ಲೊಮ್ಯಾರುಲಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರಿನಲ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಹೌದಾ? ಗ್ಲೊಮ್ಯಾರುಲಸ್ನಾಗ ಏನು ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಟಫ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಲರೀಸ್, ಟಫ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಲರೀಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. Generally it is formed by afferent renal arterioles, that is a branch of renal artery. Afferent renal arteries or the branch of renal arteries anta karitivi. Then the blood from the glomerulus, it is collected by the efferent renal arteries, afferent matta efferent. Then the renal tubules, it is begins with the double walled cup like structure which is known as Bowman's capsule. Then the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus together we call it as a Malpighian tubule. Malpighian tubule anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Then what are the different parts of the nephron? One is the proximal convoluted tubule, and this proximal convoluted tubule, it is followed by the Henle's loop, and this Henle's loop, it is having ascending limb and the descending limb. Then ascending limb, it is followed by another called tubular region which is called as distal convoluted tubule, that is the DCT. Then DCT has many nephrons which opens into the straight tube which is called as collecting duct, and all the collecting duct, it converges and opens out by the renal pelvis through the medullary pyramid of the calyx. Fine. So here we have come across three different definitions. One is juxtaglomerular nephron, peritubular capillaries and the vasa recta. Okay, so this is a Structure of nephron, actually the structure of nephron, it is important for 5 marks. Okay, it was asked for your annual exam also. Then human excretory system also, it is asked. This diagram is for 3 marks, it is also important. Then this is for 5 marks with explanation you have to know, and all the different parts and explanation and its functions you have to know. Then mechanism of urine formation. Mechanism of urine formation, it is also for 5 marks question. So what are the steps involved in this mechanism of urine formation? There are 3 steps. One is glomerular filtration, selective reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Fine. So what happens in glomerular filtration? Nearly almost average of blood is filtered by the kidney per day. Fine. Then the glomerular capillaries of blood pressure, they causes the filtration through the filtration membrane, and the filtration membrane, it is made up of endothelium of the glomerular blood vessels. Then in that glomerular filtration only ultrafiltration will take place. Then the amount of GFR, this definition you have to know. What is a glomerular filtration rate? The amount of filtrate which is formed by the kidney per minute, it's known as glomerular filtration rate. So this is the steps in which region what are the components are absorbed. Then selective reabsorption. So again, selective reabsorption, about 180 liters of filtrate is formed every day. Fine. Along with useful materials are reabsorbed into the blood through the peritubular capillaries. Then generally in this tubular epithelium you can find that both steps are involved in its passive mechanism as well as the active mechanism. So substance like glucose, ammonia acids, and the sodium, they are absorbed actively, and nitrogenous waste are absorbed by the passive method. Okay, active method and the passive method, both the methods will take place. Then the nitrogenous waste are absorbed by the passive transport. Then reabsorption of water occurs passively in the initial segments of the nephron. Reabsorption of water will take place. Just now we have studied in the proximal convoluted tubule, and electrolytes and water reabsorption will take place. Then secretion, tubular secretion. So generally the tubular cells, they adds like so hydrogen and potassium, ammonia to the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries. Then it also helps in maintaining the ionic and acid-base balance of the body fluid. So these are the 3 steps. You can take the screenshot. You can make a note. You can refer this once. You can make the notes and you can read it. It will be easy for you people. So what are the notes we have provided in the college? You can refer that notes. Apart from that, you can refer this notes also. It is also good. You can take the screenshot and you can write all these points. It will be useful. Okay, simply just don't blindly see and leave it. You can make a note simultaneously. You can write. Fine. Next functions we have studied. So again in the functions, first is the proximal convoluted tubule. So in the proximal convoluted tubule, it is lined by simple cuboidal brush border epithelium, so which increases the surface area of the absorption. Surface area absorption, it will help in increasing. Then also all the essential nutrients like 70 to 80% of the electrolytes and the waters are also reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule. These functions are important of all this proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and the collecting duct. If they ask you the structure, simultaneously you can mention these functions also. It will be easy for people to remember. Okay. Then it also helps in maintaining the pH and the ionic balance of the body. pH and the ionic balance of the body fluid by selective secretion of hydrogen, potassium, and ammonia into the filtrate by the reabsorption of the bicarbonates. Okay, that is proximal convoluted tubule. Then Henle's loop. So what happens in Henle's loop? This region, it plays an important role in the maintenance of high osmolality by the medullary interstitial fluid. High osmolality maintain ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದ. ಸೊ ಈ Henle's loop ನಾಗ ಎರಡವ. One is ascending limb and another one is the descending limb. Then ascending limb, it is permeable to water, and the descending limb, it is also permeable to water, impermeable to electrolytes. Now here it is both permeable to water as well as the electrolytes. Okay. Just I am repeating once again so that it will be easy for you people to understand. Then distal convoluted tubule, it is selectable reabsorption of sodium and the water will takes place in the segments. Fine. So again it is also capable of reabsorption. Reabsorption help ಮಾಡ್ತದ ಮತ್ತು selective secretion of hydrogen, potassium and ammonia to maintain the pH and the sodium potassium level in the blood. Hydrogen, potassium ಮತ್ತು ಅಮೋನಿಯಂ ರಿಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೆಕ್ರೇಷನಿಗೂ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಪಿ ಎಚ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಮತ್ತು ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಷಿಯಮ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಡಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಕನ್ವಲ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಸ್, DCT. Next, collecting duct. So here in this ducts it extends from the cortex to the inner part of the medulla. Then large amount of water could be reabsorbed from these regions. Okay, large ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ reabsorption ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. Is it clear? ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನದ ಅಂದರೆ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಅದ. ಆ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಯೂರಿನ್ದಾಗ ಮತ್ತು ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದು ದಿಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಫೈನ್. ಸೊ ಹೋಪ್ all these concepts are clear to you regarding the excretory system. Is it clear? This diagram is important. So meanwhile in the next class I will give the questions also. So simultaneously you can take down the questions, important questions. This diagram also you have to draw. This is not necessary, this diagram is not necessary. Okay. Hope all these slides are clear to you, all the concepts. Fine. So remaining concept will complete in the next class. Okay. Fine. So regarding this excretion, if you have any doubts, okay, if you have any doubts you can ask me in the ABSCO class. Fine. Okay. See you then. Okay. Take care. Stay home. Stay safe.